Hello exiles, and now I'm back with another build. Now it's about immortality again. We are using the Strength of Blood keystone, which is provided by Little Pride with Warriors under Calm. The initial build, as far as I remember, was broken when cluster jewels were introduced in it was Delirium League, and at that point adrenaline was completely broken and it granted 35 increased maximum total life recovery per second from leech, so stacking multiple of those jewels allowed us to be immortal due to Strength of Blood. I'll explain a bit further. So after the Delirium they were nerfed to the state at which they are now, but the main point is in the leaks before Scourge, life recovery rate didn't affect the instances of leech as they do it now. So I've tried 3 or 4 leaks before to do a build with the Strength of Blood, and life recovery rate didn't allow us to be immortal, and something has changed, so I think it will be fixed in 3.17. So what's the basic concept of the build? The mechanics of leech works as instances, so we need to gain instances of leech to get to our maximum life leech rate. We have 10 instances and 2% of maximum life per instance, so we have 20%, and allocating Wild Pact gives us 40%. So due to Strength of Blood keystone, which says 1% less damage taken for every 2% life recovery per second from leech, we need to have 200% leech to take 100% less damage taken. But there are 2 different stats that influence our leech. We have maximum total life recovery per second from leech, which we can get from our tree, for example here, and we have maximum recovery per life leech. It can be obtained by Slayer Ascendancy. After I've chosen Slayer for this build, I've understood that it's a bad thing. It's not a crucial point, but you don't need to take Brutal FERVOUR Ascendancy, and I'll explain why later. But this stat increases the numbers how fast we leech. So we need to stack maximum total life recovery per second from leech to transform our base 40% to 200% and to become immortal. So as the adrenaline was fixed and it's practically impossible to get our increased maximum total life recovery per second from leech to the state when it transforms 40% to 200, so it must be 400% increased maximum total life recovery per second from leech. So we use total life recovery to boost our numbers of maximum recovery per life leech, and using our tree we stack these numbers, and we have the formula which allows us to calculate how we can achieve this. In my version we have 193% increased maximum total life recovery per second from leech and 72% increased life recovery rate. So if we calculate, we have more than 200%, and once we get all our instances of leech we become immortal and we don't take any damage from any source. But I'll show it to you later why Slayer is bad. Brutal Favor, which was allocated before this one, it allows our instances only to exist for 4 to 5 seconds after we gain them, but in some case that I didn't find out yet, our instances of leech without it are practically eternal, so they existed on a map for more than a minute, and after that I didn't even try to wait until they end. So I can't answer the question why it works this way, but the situation is the following. We stack our maximum total life recovery per second from leech, and our life recovery rate. How do we do that? So I know that there was somewhere an article on Reddit about this, but there are multiple ways to do that. We can use Transcendent Flash to increase our life recovery rate, and in these positions on the tree it gives us 15% life recovery rate and 24% life recovery rate. Also, we use Watcher's Eye with 15% increased life recovery rate while affected by Vitality, and 18% increased life recovery rate with Flow Untethered. You can get the more expensive Torrent's Reclamation Belt and Divine it till it has 15% increased life recovery rate, and then use Life Catalysts to boost the rate. What about maximum total life recovery per second from Leech? We get it from the tree, from this cluster. From this cluster here, I anointed this node not to waste points on the tree, and we stack in my version 5 adrenaline nodes from small cluster jewels. They are very expensive now, but I've managed to craft 5 of these for I think 300 or 400 alterations, so it's pretty cheap when you do it yourself. Also, we have Replica Soul Strike, which grants us 40% increased maximum total life recovery per second from each. And we need a Redeemer, or not, Crusader. I think it's a Crusader mode, tier 1, with increased maximum total life recovery per second from each, and then use Life Catalysts on it too to get the maximum 30% increased maximum total life recovery per second from leech, but I didn't need to do that because 24% for me was enough, and I have, even with this stat, more than 200% increased maximum total life recovery per second from leech. And it's the basic thing about the build, and you can use any skill and any bow skill. So before melee unarmed skills allowed to use quivers, we could make an unarmed build, maybe with my favorite Doryani's Feast, but now we can use only bows, and I've chosen another Doryani's item, so it's Doryani's Prototype, as we don't need any resistances, so I lowered the lightning resistance till 173, and if you have more investment, and you can lower it to the cap to -200, and we use lightning strike, or lightning arrow, sorry, and galvanic arrow. Where is it? Yeah, it's here. Galvanic arrow for our single target, and lightning arrow for our clearing with Mirage Archer. So I used Fractal Thoughts with crit, multi, and minus lightning press, but I think Scorch won't go core, and such items with minus lightning press won't be able to get in further leaks, so it will need some update. We can stack voices and get more adrenaline, but I think the cheaper way is to get Flow Untethered or Torrent's Reclamation without making a Mage Blood build. So we need Replica Soul Strike, Flow Untethered, the amulet, the Crusader's amulet with increased maximum total life recovery per second from leech, and adrenaline, and 2 Transcendent Flashes. So these 2 gems are the only expensive thing. I've taken them maybe 4 exalts each. The concept of my build is, and we need Offering to the Serpent, because this Slayer Ascendancy doesn't allow our instances to exist forever. So we need to have our life leech not removed when unreserved life is filled. For my concept, I've chosen a basic tree, some low damage, some minus res with juicy assassination, and I use Chainsaw for more damage. I've try to compare it to a 2-mirror bow for this build, and Chainsaw deals more damage than a 2-mirror bow. We use Doryani's prototype, some ring with early damage with attacks, some stats, lightning damage, minus mana cost. Vivinsect is, I think, is my mistake for this build. I've had it from the previous one, so I've decided to use it, but you'd better have just a rare ring with some damage, some stats, minus mana cost, which Vivinsect gives. So as we don't reserve our full mana, we don't need to lower our mana cost to 0. For the Flasks, just for some damage, Onslaught, Crit Strike Chance, increased damage, and Dying Sun for additional projectiles. A Quicksilver Flask for our movement speed with Withering Step on movement button to be pretty fast. I think that's all. For the clearing skill, we use Lightning Arrow with Mirage Archer, air damage with attacks, Inspiration, Fizz to Lightning, and GMP. For single target, Galvanic Arrow, Barrage, Fizz to Lightning, increased critical damage, air damage with attacks, and Awakened Added Lightning, which I didn't manage to get to level 5 yet, but it's very easy with Torah on research, having 200 million experience for the run, and if she's the head of research, you'll take 2 of them. To do reflect damage maps, we need this elemental mastery, and for our Pantheon we take Soul of Yugu, and it also reduces effective curses on us, such as temporal chains, and I've chosen Soul of Bright King because sometimes we get chilled because of chilled ground, not because something damages us, so I decided to take it to reduce effect of chill on us. And some mobs can freeze you even not dealing damage. I think Freezing Pulse can do it. And we can do any stuff except cannot leech, but there are some mobs in Simulacrums that can lower your recovery rate. I've managed to do 30 wave of Simulacrum with it, as you've seen before, but some mobs that make, I don't know how it's this attack called, maybe it's a slam, which apply Scorch on you, and these mobs also reduce your recovery rate, so I just tried not to face them and kill them from the distance, because other stuff is pretty safe. Causes is much weaker for this build and deals nothing to us than one blue guy that applies this debuff on us. I've chosen Slayer with Overwhelm, Bane of Legends, Headsman, and probably we can take Masterful Form, but it will have more damage, but I've chosen Impact to have more area of effect just for clearing. And Slayer is not the best option for this build. I think Berserker will have much more damage, and to switch this tree to Berserker we need to allocate this one and remove 2 of these nodes. Or we can use Raider for more speed, and if we make a map character from this build. Large cluster jewels are pretty trash in my current state, so they are not even for bow attacks. I just tried to find Feed the Fury, Feel the Fight in all the stuff that I had from previous builds, and just pulled it in this one, so I didn't want to invest much. And this overall setup with even this insane Chainsaw and this insane offering to the Serpent, it's not +1 frenzy, and even not 10% maximum total life recovery implicit, which now is about 50x, I think, but it gives us tons of damage because of minus lightning resistance. The only thing I wanted to show you is this one. So watch why Brutal Fervor is bad. When we allocate it, it turns our life leech rate to positive value, while here we have it negative, and that's why I don't know how it works, but it works that in this state we have our instances of leech last practically forever, but if we get this one, we have only 4 or 5 seconds, and if we don't hit enemies after 4 or 5 seconds, we just die because we don't have enough defenses, life pool, and etc. For the errors, of course, the build can be fixed because we have too much unreserved life to have one more error, probably haste. It can be achieved with maybe enchantment with Wrath reserves no mana, as we use Wrath. We use Herald of Purity, Herald of Thunder, Vitality, and Precision. So Herald of Purity and Precisions with Arrogance for life reservation, and Wrath, Herald of Thunder, and Vitality. So thank you for watching, and see you next time on my videos. Goodbye, like, subscribe, and ask questions in the commentary section if you're interested. Thank you.